From the mysterious India comes this story. In a city of those lands lived a Brahman, which is what is called in that country a man dedicated to meditating on the good things that the gods send him. This Brahman was very susceptible to noise. He liked to be calm, restful, serene, and for this reason he had frequent arguments with the children because in his games they would shout, run, and make a lot of noise. The fights between the Brahmin and the children were continuous. One day and another he would also go out furiously at the door of his house to squirt the children with various reprimands and even occasionally threaten them, flip-flops in hand, about what would happen to them if they were not very quiet. The children tried to hide and were silent at that moment. They remained silent for a while, but who can silence the merriment of a child in his wanderings? The tranquility that the Brahmin asked for lasted for a while, sometimes long, sometimes short, but as soon as one of the boys hit the other with the "you take it" and ran out in 2 minutes, the scandal would start again on the street. The neighbors brought the man food so that he could stay alive, and in this way he could dedicate himself to meditation and thus give good advice to those who asked for it. At the same time they brought him to calm down with respect to the children. "Do not get angry," they told him, "they are children, they try not to make noise but—" "Come on," commented another, "take this plate of rice that I bring you and let the children play. You already know that when a boy is silent is when there is reason to worry because it means that he is sick." One fine day a neighbor brought him a whole pitcher full of rice and he gave it to him as a present. The Brahmin was very happy with such an amount of rice. Not only could he eat for several days, but he could also sell a good part and get extra money. He placed the pitcher on top of his mat and began to meditate, and look where he fell fast asleep and began to dream. In that dream the Brahmin went to the market with his pitcher of rice and sold it at once. Seeing the good money they had given him for his merchandise, he bought some chickens that he took home and fed them there, and when they grew up, he sold them, and he bought some goats that gave him milk which he sold at a good price to his neighbors, and with the milk that was left over he made cheeses that he sold in the market. With such good fortune that by selling milk and cheese he was able to get a cow that he also knew how to take advantage of to make even more cheese, and thus managed to make very good fortune, because as he sold his products, he bought more animals and each time he had more money. When his fortune was large enough he bought jewels and an elephant which he lavishly decorated and with which he rode on his back, astonishing all who saw him. Once he was in such a great economic position, he looked for a wife, and according to his cash, not just any girl would do for him, but she had to be one of very high lineage. He hired the services of a good matchmaker. Matchmakers are people who in other times were dedicated to establishing matrimonial relationships, presenting potential couples to join. This matchmaker was very good at his job and introduced him to a very wealthy cloth merchant who had a daughter of marriageable age. The talks began, and as soon as both boyfriends liked each other they prepared the marriage. It was a great event. They decorated the street and invited all the neighbors. There was an abundance of food, rice cakes and different juices prepared with fruits that were distributed among the guests: pineapple, mango, banana, orange, exquisite sweets of strawberry, passion fruit, soursop, papaya. These beautifully presented desserts made the delights of those with a sweet tooth. It was a wedding in style. There were musicians and dancers, artists who told stories, and even an elephant tamer. The sleeping Brahmin on his mat smiled at that wonderful dream of wealth and good fortune that he was having. Once married, and we already know that in dreams there is no time or place, but things happen because yes, he was already with several children living very harmoniously in his home. But his bad temper towards the children did not leave him even in his sleep, and lo and behold, within his reverie he persecuted his children, scolding them and hurling at them any number of insults so that they would let him rest in peace in his meditations. The Brahmin was so furious that he spoke even while asleep. "Get out, scoundrels, go somewhere else with your escapades and childishness, let me sleep peacefully." Then he murmured something that was not understood and yelled again, "Enough of the hubbub and running from here to there, don't you know how to be calm?" In the dream, as in reality, the children calmed down for a while, but it was a while, at the moment. Until one of them pinched another and the laughter and jokes began again, If one laughed he infected the other with his laughter, and in no time at all they were running and scandalizing again. The enraged Brahman came out of his dream with a fine cloth slipper in his hand to chase the boys. "Come here, cheekalicuators, I'm going to teach you what respect is." Of course, the children ran much faster than him and he couldn't catch up with them, so he took the slipper in his hand threateningly and raised it, brandishing it in the air. "How I reach you, I'm going to give you like this and like this and like this." Such was his anger within the dream, that asleep and everything as he was began to move as if he were awake, and he began to shake his hands and legs spectacularly, and in one of those thumps that he gave such a blow to the jar with rice that the neighbor had kindly given him gift that burst it and spilled all the rice on the floor. In that the Brahman woke up, due to the noise of the jar breaking, due to the pain that he felt when giving himself such a blow, and standing up he verified the disaster caused. Seeing the mess he made he was stunned, but if it was all a dream, he said to himself dismayed. The little rice that he was able to recover served him to barely prepare a plate of food. All his dreams of abundance and prosperity were thrown there. The Brahman this time sat down to meditate while he ate his bowl of rice and thought a lot about everything that had happened to him in his dream. Outside his house he listened to the boys' raids, but this time he left them alone. He had a lot to think about.